3 people have died and 14 others admitted in hospitals in Wajir County following an outbreak of cholera in the area. 2 people died yesterday, while 1 died on Friday following the outbreak. The County Department of Health is racing against time to contain the disease. Let us now speak to our correspondent in Wajir, Ahmed Hussein, who is joining us via way of phone. Ahmed, certainly not a good afternoon from Wajir. Just paint a picture for us of what the situation in the ground is as at now, Ahmed.
Well, I'm getting you quite well, Grace, here in Wajir. Sad news of the 3 people who have died following the cholera outbreak in this county. 2 people have died at Alan Us location in Wajir South sub-county. 1 person in Kanjara in Wajir West. And the total number of people who are currently receiving treatment at the cholera treatment centers across the county are 14. The news has thus left the public here in fear because, this town here in Wajir, it has had sewerage problems over the last, since its inception rather, and as such, people are left sitting or thinking that this could even happen to everyone. The public health departments are actually racing against time because most of the people in remote areas practice what we call the open defecation, and as such, when it rains, the dams are filled with water that is probably contaminated, and a lot of people might suffer the risk. And as such, the county medical chief officer Ahmed Gohad Omar has actually asked the public to take anyone who is not feeling well to the hospital, because the 3 people who have died, he says, were not taken to hospital and they died at home, and that if probably those people will have been admitted in the hospital, they will have received the right treatment, and probably they could have avoided rather that tragedy. And as such, he's now calling on the public here in Wajir to actually be first-hand and take anyone who is suffering from any kind of symptoms to the hospital. Also, the public health teams, he said, are actually on the ground and doing health medicines or health interventions on the ground. There are a lot of people who are reported to be suffering, and as such, almost 10 people have been discharged in Dambas in Tarbaj constituency, leaving the number of people at the CTC centers in Tarbaj sub-county as 4. 2 people actually also have tested positive for cholera in the same location, and as such, the county health department now know that they are trying everything they can. But the worry here is that the people are having less of health education, and as such, they are not aware that this disease is in their midst, and so many people could be affected. And as such, the health department is doing, as they said, health campaigns. They have sent health teams to the ground to try to avert the crisis.
Indeed, Ahmed, thank you for that report, and of course, especially where you tell us of the measures that have been put in place to mitigate the situation. But I'm curious, Ahmed, have you been able to reach out to the families of these 3 people that unfortunately lost their lives in the 3 days?
Well, the 3 people have actually died a place 2 hours outside Wajir town, and as such, the public health department, when we spoke to them, they said they were not aware of as such, and as the press team, we were not able to go to the ground, but hopefully in the coming hours or even tomorrow morning, we are planning, I'm actually planning rather to visit those places, because more cases have actually been reported in Wajir itself, and as such, we were not able to, at the moment, to try to visit the place, and hopefully, as time goes on, we will be able to get the coverage on that one, the footage rather. But what is actually important is that, Grace, here in the town, this town has really had sewerage problems. The shallow wells are open, and the dirt, and the town has been littered. And you know that this town actually has had rather water problems, and people actually use plastic bags, which are as such bringing contamination of water because the shallow wells are open, and the town has not had the proper sewerage system. People are actually using the pit latrine, and so it could be that those people who are affected could be more, and as such we are trying to reach to the most affected areas, because Wajir West and Tarbaj constituency are now the hotspots. Wajir South has had 2 people dead, but the cases are not as much as other sub-counties. Probably more people could be affected, and that's why the health department are now raising against time, as I said, and myself and probably I will be able to visit those areas that have had those people die, and probably talk to some of the patients, some of the parents or the victims, the families rather of the victims, and hopefully I will get for you the coverage later in the day, Grace.
Certainly, Ahmed. Thank you so much for that detailed report.